What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of This Hits Different, hosted by yours truly, Riley Nelson. Hi, guys, and welcome back. I am very excited for the interview today. I keep saying we. I am interviewing one of my really good friends and one of the most amazingly talented singers, artists, songwriters that I know. Her name is Grace Tyler. So I'm going to get into the interview with her, but I want to talk a little bit about some things that have been going on. I am struggling a little bit, and I realized it last night. It feels kind of messed up because I am so lucky and so blessed. I love my life. I love my friends. I have more love in my life than most people do, and I'm aware of that. And I am so lucky to have amazing people in my life. And yet, for some reason, I keep taking it for granted. And I don't really understand why. It's something I've really been struggling with. Last night was a Saturday night, and I just was alone. And don't get me wrong, I do like being alone when I want to be alone. So I think that is the key difference. Every time I am doing things and like I'm alone, it's like when I'm intentionally trying to have alone time. I intentionally take myself on dates. I go out in public alone. I try to do things alone a lot so that I build that muscle because I know that it's something that I'm uncomfortable with. I am an extrovert pretty much through and through. And I don't know, I just realized that I do not like being alone. And I was alone last night. I I didn't have to be, I guess. And I was just working on another podcast, and for some reason I just got really emotional, and I just felt isolated. And so I called some friends and ended up like being just fine. But I think that being alone and isolation, being alone and being isolated are two very different things. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like I'm craving more. And that's so not okay. But I'm struggling because all of my friends are in relationships and they're in really solid relationships. And don't get me wrong, I understand, like, if I wanted to be in a relationship, I could be in one tomorrow. But that's not what I want. Like, I want a life partner. I want to be with the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And I think I've been struggling with craving intimacy and not sex, intimacy. Like, I want to fully know and understand someone and have them know and see every part of me and still choose to love me. And that romantic love is the one thing that has always been missing in my life. I've always been so passionate and so driven about school and my dreams and my passions and my family. And I have taken the time to go on dates and put myself out there, but it just doesn't stick for some reason. And I'm feeling a little emotional about it. And that's okay. I don't want to just come on here and give you guys the highlight reel of my life when that's not how I'm feeling all the time. Sometimes I feel really sad and I feel really alone and I feel isolated. And I know that that is not true. I have so much love. It took me one phone call to like kind of snap out of it a little bit. But I kind of got like burned by a guy last night and it hurt. Um I I don't want to like share too much, but I don't know. I just feel like I get stood up a lot and I don't feel like men romantically pursue me in a way. Um don't get me wrong. Guys pursue me at bars or when we're out or like I see guys checking me out, but I don't feel pursued romantically. It's always, for a one night thing or whatever. And I'm aware I go to Barstool and I go to bars and I am out and when I go out looking for fun. I no part of me when I go out is like trying to meet men. I do, but it's always the wrong kinds of guys and I'm aware of that. Like the guys that I meet out are not really the guys I want to date, but I'm just tired of being the single friend. I've always been the single friend. I have never been in a relationship. And I think that's why it's the one thing that really gets to me is because I'm 23 and nobody has ever liked me enough to say, I want to be with you and I choose you. And I think that that does something to you. I've never been pursued by guys in high school. It was always just hookups. And I get that I put out like a sexual energy, I guess, but that's not me. And I know literally last week I talked about, the story, but I don't do that. Like, I like to go on dates. I want to feel pursued. I want to feel protected and cared for. And I want to have like weekend nights in where, we just watch movies and cuddle and just like have intimacy, not sex, but like deep understanding of one another. And I'm struggling with it a little bit. I've always been the single friend. I've always been the third wheel. I just, it's a lot. And it's something that's been weighing on me a lot. And I don't know if it's seasonal depression because it does get dark here at 4 o'clock and it's 20 degrees outside right now. So there's a very high percentage that this is just like an emo phase because of the weather. So I am aware of that. But this is just something that like always keeps coming back up. Like I'm 23 and I've never been in a relationship. Nobody has ever romantically looked at me and said, I choose you. Now, my friends and my family, I am so blessed to have so many people in my life that love and care for me. But why do I feel like that's not enough? What's wrong with me that love is not enough and I want more? Why can't I just be content in that? I don't know. This is a therapy session. If you're a therapist and you're listening to this and you know the answer, or just anybody in general, if you know the answer, like send me a text. And I'm sorry that this like intro is like kind of sad, but that's my life. It has ups, it has downs, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm not gonna come on here and just talk about how great my life is and how amazing my weekend was and all the guys and all the partying. Like, that's not me. I mean, it is, but like it's a part of me. But that's not how I'm feeling right now. And I wanted to share it just because I feel like it's real. I feel like it's relatable. And I know that I cannot be the only one going through this. So, um, I'm sorry for the sad intro, you guys. I promise I'm happy. I am so genuinely blessed. I love my life. I live in the greatest city. I live in a beautiful house. I have the best friends. I have amazing roommates. I have a job that I love. I have opportunities all over the place. My life is so full of promise and love. And for some reason, there's the one thing that's missing. And I think that a lot of people have that. And it might not be a relationship. It might be a job. It might be you're unhappy with your career and you want to pursue your passions. It might be you're afraid to pursue your passions. It might be that you have lost a loved one and don't get to receive that love anymore. There's a million different possibilities and different things that people can be missing and craving in life. And this is just the one thing that I'm craving. And yeah. I'm sorry for the sad intro, but I just wanted to be real with you guys for a minute. So let's switch it up. Let's make this a little bit happy. Grace Tyler is my little, for starters. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's so much more than just my little, but she's my little from Theta, and I am obsessed with her, and I love her so much. But there is so much more to Grace. She is a songwriter. She's a performer. She's a vocalist. She's a friend. She is a loving sister and daughter. And she is just so amazing. I cannot say enough good things about her. She's gotten to open for people such as Martina McBride, Lee Brice, Parker McCollum, and so many more. She is freaking killing it. And I am so, so, so excited to introduce you guys to Grace Tyler. So without further ado, let's get into my interview with Grace Tyler. It is the moment that you have all been waiting for. I am joined here today with the one, the only, Grace Tyler. Hi, Grace, and welcome to This Hits Different.
Riley, thanks for having me. This has been a long time coming.
This has been a long time coming. So we're just going to jump right into it.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So since this is your first time on This Hits Different, we've been waiting for this moment, you guys. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey entering into music and how you got to this place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a Texas girly myself too. We bonded over our love for Texas. That was one of the first things.
Oh, we're going to talk about recruitment. We'll get there.
We're going to get there. That's another story. But so I'm from the Texas, Dallas area. I grew up singing country music when I started talking. My parents, there was a kids karaoke bar in town, and each week my parents would drop me and my friends off and my brother off. And got some free babysitting. And unfortunately, it kind of just stuck, and now their kid is a singer. So I always tell people, I warn them, whatever you put your kids in, sometimes it sticks, and they end up making a career out of it. But, I grew up singing, picked up, guitar and piano, and started playing full band shows when I was around 14, around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then after I graduated high school, I moved to Nashville, and I went to Belmont for school, and I graduated over a year ago now, and I've been doing music full time. So it's the dream. Yeah. It's been awesome. It's crazy because I feel like I've been doing this forever, for as long as I can remember. And I've only been in town for 4 years, but it feels like I've been chasing this dream for forever. So
yeah. I mean, doing a full band at 14 is impressive.
I wasn't legally allowed to be in some of the bars that I was singing in, but that's another point.
That's another story.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously, Grace and I both went to Belmont together.
Yes, we did.
Should we share our little recruitment story?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's kind of wild. So
I know.
I had heard about you through a friend, of a friend, and they're like, oh my gosh, you need to meet Riley. She's a really good family friend, but we never met until recruitment. And then recruitment happened, and she wasn't allowed to talk to me.
Yeah, so they had told me, mutual friend had told me about you and said that you were coming to Belmont.
Yeah. And
I feel like we texted once or twice before.
Yeah.
But then it hit the waiting period.
For sorority.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't allowed to talk to you. So the first time I got to talk to you was recruitment. Yeah. And I remember them being like, oh, Grace is going through. And I was like, okay, I'll look out for her, whatever. And then I went to go do floating. If you're in the sorority world, you know.
All the sorority terms.
Yeah. But I went to go float, and just so I could meet Grace. And the second I met her, we immediately clicked, and someone else was talking to her, and I was like, wait, I want to talk to this girl. Like we just like hit it off immediately.
Yeah.
And then it was night 1. Was it night 2 that I talked to you?
Maybe.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think you waited till there were like less girls like interrupting each
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got to prep night.
Yes.
And my roommate also prepped her.
In a different sorority.
In a different sorority.
Yeah. The 2 sororities that I had put down to go back to for pref night, they were roommates and they both prepped me, which was hilarious. And I had never met your roommate actually before. It was kind of weird because I'd never talked to her, and we hit it off and we had like a great night. And
She's a great person.
She's awesome.
We love her.
We ended up like, we had an awesome conversation. Like, she honestly was like the reason I was like, oh my gosh, I could see myself in this sorority because she was just so awesome. I just felt like I had an awesome conversation with you too, and I hit it off a lot more with a lot more girls in Theta. Ended up in the other sorority, but she's amazing. Like, it was really hard, but I ended up going Theta.
Yes.
But I cried when I went to her prep night, and I didn't cry with you. But I think that she was asking like those deep questions, and you were like, we were just hitting it off. Like, ours was like a first date that went super well, and that one was like, tell me like the hardest things you ever went through. So it was like very different vibes.
Yeah.
But you heard I cried, and you're like, shoot.
I was like, shit. I was like, she's not going Theta. And I was like, I need her to be in the sorority at the bare minimum, if not my little.
Yeah.
And so bid day happens, and when I got your name, oh my God, I lost my shit. I was so excited.
That's so
and then we were
great.
like going on like big little dates, and
Yeah.
I was like, she better not go with anybody else. I was like, this is my little.
I went on like other dates, but I didn't mean them. I was just like, I just want to meet people. Like, I already knew who my big was gonna be. It was like, it was honestly the most relaxing thing ever, because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even have to worry about this. Like, all my other friends were freaking out, and I was like, I'm chilling. Like,
I know. And then I was like trying to trick you to like think that I wasn't
Yeah,
your
I
big.
knew you were messing with me. I was like, there's no
She
way.
figured it out.
I knew you loved me. You were obsessed with me. It's
I
fine.
literally
I
was.
obsessed with you.
And I still am. As much as we love Theta,
Yeah, T-Lan.
question mark?
If you know, you know.
Sorry, guys. Obviously we're not here today to talk about Theta. We're here to talk about your music.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you have a song coming out. It's called
do.
Hold Your Horses.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
I'm really excited for this one. We wrote it actually like at the end of December. So this is probably the quickest turnaround on a song I've ever done. Probably one of the most stressful releases of my life. Just like the last few weeks trying to just get everything together. Like I was frantically texting my brother at like 2 a.m. Do you have any pictures of horses for like the cover art? Like it was insanity. But I wrote the song with Ben Goldsmith and Luke Preston. Ben ended up producing it. I just fell in love with the demo he did, and I was like, dude, this is sick. Can we like cut the song? And so Ben was kind enough to produce on it, which was super cool. So it's the first song kicking in the new year. I'm really excited because I have a ton of new music that we're working on. Everything else I feel like I have a lot more preparation for, and this one kind of just like, I was so crazy about the song that I was like, let's just throw it. Me and my manager were like, what if we just like kick off the year with a new song? And I was like, we're crazy, but let's do it.
But
so
let's go.
yeah, so it's about just having somebody that you love so much, and kind of that sentiment of like, if you love something, set it free, and you know, if it wants to stay, it'll stay. And it's talking about this guy and relating like his heart and his mind and who he is as a person to like a horse, you know. And
Yeah, it's like a metaphor.
yeah, a metaphor, and just how, you know, you love this person so much and you want them to stay, but you can't fence in a horse that's meant to go run and be wild. And if it wants to come back, it'll come back, or if it wants to stay, it'll stay. And so it was just a really cool song and a great way to end 2023 writing wise, and now starting the year off with the first song being one of the last ones I wrote in 2023 is super special. So I'm super excited about it.
With this song, did you go into the write like having any inspiration for it, or like did it just happen like organically once you got in the write? Like, how did this song come to be? Did you have the idea already?
Yeah, this song, we were all so tapped out. It was like the end of the year, and I love writing with Ben. I love writing with Luke. This was the first time we wrote together, the three of us. I'd written with both of them separately a few times, but I feel like all were a little dry, and Luke had just gotten back from his honeymoon, and he had the riff for the song, you know, that, he had that, and he was like, I was on my honeymoon, and I just kept playing this, and I thought this was cool, and so he was playing it, and we were just kind of like throwing out ideas, and it felt very Western inspired to me, and so we just started throwing out ideas, and the idea of Hold Your Horses came up, and we were just like, okay, how do we do this in a way that like feels cool and unique to say? And then the idea kind of just like created itself after talking for a while, but it was probably one of the longest writes I had all year, because it took us a long time to like nail what the hook was, and what we wanted it to be. And once we got it, we were like, okay, we have to do justice to like this really cool idea. And I'm glad we did, because there were things that we probably could have gotten away with that would have been cool, but like we found ways to say it cooler. So
yeah. I mean, that's like the best part of writing, is like you're always rewriting and touching it up and like trying to perfect it. This is the first song of the year.
First song of 2024. Let's go.
So what is your game plan for 2024? Are we doing singles? Are we thinking about an EP? What's the tea?
Yeah, so the vibes, letting y'all in on the vibes. I think we're doing a bunch of singles.
Yeah.
I feel like this next year of work, like of songs, it's gonna feel a lot more like the first collection of work and cohesive within each other. I think I really last year took the time to find my voice and what I wanted to say. Because I grew up singing, but I grew up, you know, in cover bands and things like that. So I grew up singing other people's songs. And really, when I moved to Nashville was when I started having my own voice. And I feel like this last year I've really nailed what I wanted to say and what, you know, the vibe is and the way I want to be approaching things. And so I'm really excited about that, because, you know, it's going to be a bunch of singles, but it's going to feel like they all blend together in a way that I'm really excited to share. And just like that voice of who is Grace Tyler, I'm really excited, because we've kind of done a little bit of everything so far, and that's because I love so much different types of music. We leaned a little more rock, we leaned
definitely
a little more country, like Texas feeling, and so this new kind of year is going to be a lot of cool new stuff that I'm really excited for.
Well, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked a little bit about like the rock. I want to talk about Cowboys and Tequila, because it's my favorite song I think that you've ever put out.
Yeah.
I know this is an older one. This is like a little bit of like, you know, because the podcast is like new and upcoming music, but I want to like go back a little bit.
Yeah, if you're a true fan, you know Cowboys and Tequila.
Yes, and I am a true fan. So I want to like talk a little bit about Cowboys and Tequila and like what that song has done for you in terms of your success and like getting partnerships and everything. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Cowboys and Tequila, I wrote with Matt Gorman and Jack Hummel. Jack had the idea for the song, and so credit is due to him for bringing this in, but he had the idea, and he had told me, he was like, I have a song idea, and today is not the day we're going to write it, but I have an idea. I'm like, what the heck? Like, this never happens.
Okay, now we're going to write it.
Right. I was like, now we have to write it. He's like, no, not today. Like, it's not the right vibe. It was just like, I was like, okay. And then probably a month later, he finally was like, all right, today is the day we can write this song. Because I think he was just trying to nail the hook before bringing it in. Yeah. And he wanted to, like, you know, when he was going to present it or whatever, like, be like, dude, we have to write this. And as soon as he said, I think the original line was like 2 things I don't chase, Cowboys and Tequila, and then we changed it like 2 things this girl don't chase, but same thing anyways. And we were like, dude, we have to write this. I was like, this is me. If you know, you know. The tequila girl. We love the tequila. And so we wrote the song and ended up somehow getting Lee Bryce to say he was going to be a producer on it, which was
a flex.
This was just the craziest thing to ever happen. for Lee to like believe in the song, to hear it, and to hear me, and just want to support it was really, really cool. And so we went in the studio, we knocked it out, and it's really cool because if Lee Brice calls somebody up, like they show up within like the next hour to be there. So we got everything done that day. We got like background vocals done. He called in Rebecca Lynn Howard, who's she was on the road with Steven Tyler doing background vocals for Steven Tyler for a super long time. And so she's just an incredible vocalist. She's got an artist career too on her own. But she was just phenomenal. So she came in and threw in all these crazy vocals in the background, and it turned out freaking awesome. It's like the song I close my sets with, just because it's a fun one, and I take a shot before I do it, and after that, it's like, we got one more song, and we're done.
I gotta go.
It's time to go home. But yeah, it's been great, and, opened doors for me. We sent the song to a company, Dulce Vita Tequila, because I'm a huge fan of their tequila, and they were like, cool, like, we'd love to work with you. So I've gotten to work with them and, go and shoot content with them. And last year in Key West, they sponsored me while I was down there. So we did shows through the BMI Songwriters Festival, as well as shows with Dulce Vita. And just promoting a Texas brand for me is super important, and one that I love a lot.
Yes, because you're very, like, Texas country.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean that in the best way, because, like, Texas has, like, its own genre of country.
Yeah.
And, like, you have really honed into that, and I feel like that is going to create longevity for your career.
Yeah.
Is, like, you're not just, like, every pop country Nashville. It's good for a radio hit or a TikTok sound. Like, I feel like the music that you're creating right now, and, like, that you've been creating lately, is made for longevity, and it's made for, like, it has that, like, Texas country sound.
Thank you.
And you have that, like, deep, rich voice. You guys, let me tell you about this girl. She can fucking sing.
Oh, thank you.
And that's not an understatement. Like, the first time I heard you sing, I remember, like, because I've only known you as, like, talking, and I knew you did music and stuff, but, like, just, like, Sweet Grace, and, like, your voice is so cute. And then you sing, and it's like, there's a 60-year-old woman in there. Like, where is this, like, deep, hollow, rich sound coming from?
Oh, thank you. I know, my talking voice, I feel like I'm a lot more, like, reserved when I'm talking. Like, my talking voice sounds nothing like my singing voice, and I've always known that.
Yeah.
But that's super fun, too, because it's something that, like, people don't expect. But, no, I appreciate that. And I think, when you're an artist from Texas, you have to choose, do you want to take that Texas avenue, or do you want to make that move to Nashville?
Yeah.
And I respect, like, the careers of, like, Miranda Lambert, Parker McCollum, Cody Johnson, who, like, stay true to their roots, but aren't, limiting themselves to just Texas forever. Yeah. And I love Texas. I'm going to be a proud Texan to the day I die. But I call myself an artist from Texas, and not just a Texas artist.
Yes.
And there are people who love that, and they make a career out of that. And honestly, that's probably 99% of what I listen to are Texas artists, just because it's what I grew up on. And I think that's what I love the most, is I'm so inspired by that, but I want to do my own spin on it and, bring it more to the, like, commercial side of country music as well. So
yeah, and that's why I feel like your music has longevity. It's so versatile. Like, if you go look at everything that you have out right now, it's like there's ballads and there's love songs and there's heartbreak, but then there's also, like, fuck you. Like, I'm a bad bitch, but then there's also, like, heart like a Tuscaloosa. Not Tuscaloosa, that's the city.
Tuscaloosa, Appaloosa.
Appaloosa. I don't know horses.
Tuscaloosa.
So whenever you first posted the song and you said Appaloosa, I had to, like, look it up. I was like, what's an Appaloosa?
What is an Appaloosa? I love that for you. That's great.
But yeah, we're doing great.
We're doing great. That's hilarious.
So we were kind of talking about this a little bit off camera, and I want to bring it up while we're on camera. We were talking about playlisting a little bit.
Yeah.
You've gotten playlisted on some pretty badass playlists. Texas country, what was it, Nashville Next? Or,
yes.
And then, like, up and coming Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, some notable ones.
Yes.
If I'm wrong, you can correct me.
No, you're on track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love. Can you tell me a little bit about the playlisting world and, how do you get on a playlist? Is it luck of the draw? Like, I want all things playlisting because I feel like that's something that we've never touched on the podcast. Yeah. And I feel like it'd be like a lot of good insight for up-and-coming artists.
Absolutely. I've been so fortunate in Spotify, especially, but Apple Music and, YouTube and Amazon Prime, Pandora, all have their own playlisting systems. And, you as an artist are hoping to get put on those playlists whenever you're submitting your song in. And I will say, Spotify has been awesome to me. They were the first ones to put my music on a playlist, which is really cool.
Do you just I know with sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
you're
you,
good,
but
yeah.
I just had a burning question.
Yeah, please ask.
When you so little insight, there's Spotify for artists.
Yes.
And that's how you can see your insights. That's how you can see everything. Is that how you find out which playlist you're on?
You can.
Or is it searching?
Well, I search because I'm a little OCD, and those are sometimes it takes a couple hours for it to notify you, but it'll send you an email hey, you got put on this playlist. I'm obviously a control freak, so I'm gonna look at it immediately and try to find my name on things. But different playlists update at different times, so it's just kind of watching it, or they update the playlisting at different times. So when you're an artist, how you get your music submitted and uploaded to, Apple Music or Spotify, Pandora, all the things, is you go through a distributing company. So there are a lot of ones that anybody can, put their music up, and they take everybody. And then there's more that, they have more of a small group of people, and you have to kind of get in to be a part of them. So there's different ones, and the smaller ones, are gonna you're gonna have more of a relationship with the people there. So the one I'm with, I love. I have only incredible things to say about them. And they go and they'll talk to a Spotify and Apple Music, and just kind of throw your name in the hat and just be hey, listen to that. But honestly, when you're submitting things for to be put on, through your distributors, when you're uploading your music online to be put on, there's sections, and Spotify for sure, they have this one pitching area where a day or two after you submit the song, you submit it for playlisting. And so you basically give insight on what the song is about, and they just want to hear, who are you? What is this song? What makes you different? What vibe is this song? Tell us where you want to see this song, right? And I think Spotify does an awesome job of just discovering newer artists and giving artists a chance to be heard on these playlistings. And I think that's a really cool thing about it. And that's been super amazing to me. Spotify has put, a ton of my songs on, I think every one of my songs on the Texas country playlist. And that's why when I go to Texas, people, who may have not heard me anywhere else, I heard you on the Texas country playlist, know? And so it's really cool because it's just, helping people discover newer artists. And it's like a radio where they're curating, artists for you to listen to. But a lot of these artists don't have label backings or independent. So it's giving independent artists a platform to share their music, which is really cool. Yeah.
And you're currently independent.
I'm independent. It's all me.
And obviously, you're an artist, you're a songwriter, and you guys, she is a phenomenal songwriter.
Depends on the day.
I have no doubt in my mind that you will be a top songwriter as well as a top artist one day.
That's very sweet.
So when it comes to songwriting, when you pull your inspiration, what inspires you? Is it your own life? Is it friends? Where do you draw that inspiration from whenever you go into writes?
Yeah, I draw from everything. Anything anybody has ever said to me, I process through this little portion of my brain that's the songwriter portion. So I always tell people, I'm hey, be careful what you say around me because I will write it down. My notes tab in my phone, if you go and you look through it, it's just all song ideas, song inspiration. Even if it's not a hook, it's an idea or a line or something that could be cool that somebody said.
Do you have any of mine in there?
Probably.
I'm like,
It's
do
a
I have a
lot.
song yet? Because when I do,
Probably. But I think that's where I like draw ideas from. And then when I'm building off of ideas, I'm like, okay, is this something that I've experienced? If I'm writing for myself, I think about that. But if I'm, writing for another artist, I'm like, okay, can I put myself in their shoes? And I think a weird thing that I do when I'm writing is I'm a very I'm an Enneagram 2. So I'm
this is the most Nashville / Belmont
I
thing
know,
you've ever said.
I know. I'm such
2 wing 3,
2 wing 3,
Yep.
yes, basic.
8 wing 7.
And I'm so much like the people pleaser. I feel emotions of other people more than I feel emotions of myself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times I kind of just have to back up from a song and put myself in somebody else's shoes, which is very odd and very weird. But
you can imagine what it would feel
yeah.
like.
Oh, I can imagine your emotions more than my own sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I can handle my own feelings. I'm fine, but if somebody I see is dealing with something, then that's when I get hurt the most or feel emotions the most, which is weird. So I think that really helps sometimes too. One of my favorite songs that were written that's not released, it's called Better Off. And I wrote it with McCall Chapman. She's awesome.
Queen.
I know, I love her. And it's a song about divorce. We both wrote it when we were in college. I think we were both 20. And we both knew nothing about a divorce. We've never been married. We've never been divorced. But I knew a lot of people in my life at that time going through divorce. And so I kind of took myself out of that mode of something that I was dealing with and put myself in those people's shoes. And it ended up being one of the most heartbreaking songs I've ever written.
It is a heartbreaking one.
It's so sad, but it's so raw and real, which is why I love it. And I played it when I opened for Cameron Marlowe in Minnesota, I think, a month or two after I wrote that song. And I played it, and I was like, I don't know if this is the vibe to play it, but I played it. And this woman stopped me after the show, and she was like, I came from signing my divorce papers to this show, and this was the third or second song that I heard when I walked in here. And she was like, you stopped me in my tracks. This is everything that I was feeling. She was like, I don't know how you were able to put this into words or put this into a song. And that moment right there was I always knew I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to write songs that were true to me, but I also want to write songs that are true to other people. And if it's not anything I've gone through, how can I relate to that in a way that they would understand?
Yeah.
And so it's a song that I'm really proud of just because of that, because it wasn't my story, but I felt like it was my story to share it.
Yeah.
So.
And you were able to encapsulate feelings, experiences, traumas, etc.
Through people I love, through conversation I had and seeing somebody go through something. And and I think this year, a lot of the music I'm writing is a lot more about my life, which I'm really excited about. It's very centered on things that I've experienced and things I've dealt with, and that's really exciting because it's so true and honest, and it's really fun writing music that you're like, this is 1,000% who I am as a person, as a writer, as an artist. So
when you go into writes lately, are you, because whenever you go into writes, sometimes you're writing for other people, sometimes you're writing for yourself. How do you decide who gets to cut the song?
Yeah, so when you're going to a room and you're the only artist and the other two writers in the room are solely writers, it's usually kind of obvious, okay, we're going to write for the only artist in the room. Because 95% of the time, a song that's going to get cut, the artist was in the room when it was writing it. Unless you get, some huge star who doesn't really have time to write their own songs anymore, then that way you would, be cutting. But those are hard to come by, right?
Yeah.
That's really hard to do, to have somebody like Tim McGraw or George Strait cut your song, right? That's not going to happen for everybody. So the goal usually is, let's write the song for the artist in the room. And then sometimes you come across, okay, there's two artists. Well, as a female, if it's a dude, it's okay, is this a guy song or a girl song? If it's a guy song, it's going to you. If it's a girl song, it'll probably go to me. And then, a lot of times when there's another woman in the room, it's kind of just hey, if somebody wants to cut it, because it costs a lot of money to record a song and push it out. And so my feelings have always been, hey, if somebody wants this song who was in the room, I'm down. Like,
Yeah.
that's a win for you. That's a win for me. I would love to have a cut as a writer. I have a song coming out. I can't say who, but a song that I wrote with another artist. And she is cutting it later this year. And it was like when we were in the room, we both kind of sang on the demo. We didn't really know whose song it was going to be. I played it out a bunch. She played it out a bunch. And then she told me she was going to cut it. And I was like, oh, like, sweet. Like, it wasn't a thing where I was like, oh, shoot. Like,
I wanted this one.
Yeah. No, I was so happy. And even I think, like, if I had a song that I loved and I was like, okay, I want to write, like, I wanted to cut this, and, you know, somebody else was like, oh, but I wanted to cut it. You know, it's at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, what's best for the song? Like, that's my mentality at the end of the day. Okay, who's going to do better for the song? And I don't want to ever burn bridges over a song, because if you write one good one, you can probably write another good one, right?
True.
And
you're not a one-hit wonder, hopefully.
No, this is not a one-hit wonder situation. So, yeah, that's kind of like the vibe, I would say.
Yeah. There's so much I want to talk to you about while I have you on here.
Do it.
Okay, now I'm going to do a 180.
Okay.
I want to talk about touring a little bit, because you've gotten to hop on some really cool tours.
Yes.
You've gotten to open for some really notable artists.
Yeah.
Do you want to name drop a little bit? Say who you've gotten to play for and what it was like?
Absolutely. This year was just an awesome year for just being on the road. It's kind of my first year doing that. You know, found like my band in Nashville, got a Sprinter van, spent countless hours behind the wheel of a Sprinter van, almost fell asleep behind the wheel of a Sprinter van.
Knowing Grace and her driving.
I'm a control freak too, so I like to drive. Like, most girls are like, oh, I'll sit in the passenger seat.
I get anxiety.
Oh no, that thing, she's a beast too. So I like to take control, which, if you know me, is not surprising at all. But yes, lots of hours and in a van with a bunch of boys. But it's been so fun. We've, you know, we traveled a ton. We went to Colorado. We went to Texas. We went to Kentucky. We went, like, I could keep naming all these places, but opened for Lee Brice, Parker McCollum, Tyler Farr. We did a bunch of festivals where, like, Cody Johnson was headlining and Lainey Wilson was headlining. Like, it was just so cool. Finally, Josh Turner too. That was another huge one this year. Martina McBride.
I was waiting for that one.
That one was like beginning of like last year, so that's why I'm going backwards from the recent ones. Martina
2023
McBride,
was a good year for you.
it was a great year.
2024 is going to be even better.
Yeah, Martina McBride said my name. Like, he knows who I am now. So life made. Yeah, it's just really cool. You spend, you know, hours and hours. It's a lot of waiting, which is like the craziest thing. It feels like it's like this hustle. Most of the time you're just sitting in a van or sitting at a venue, and that's what makes the show even better, because you're just all day, you're like, I'm just so freaking ready to get out there. Mike Ryan was another one we went on when we were in Texas, and those shows we were just waiting around all day. We were just driving from one part of Texas to another, and it was like, you know, it's so worth it when you get out there. And at the end of the year, it started to become more and more like people were coming out and they were like, oh, I saw you were on this too. And that's another reason I wanted to come. And as like an artist, and especially a songwriter and releasing music, that's like one of the coolest things ever, is seeing people singing along to the songs, or like them telling you they came because they wanted to see you as well. Because when you're the opener, sometimes like people don't know who you are, and you're just like this random person, and they're like, we got here early so we could get our seats and like get a drink before the show started, and this girl just happened to be playing. And that's my favorite. I love doing that and being in front of those people and being like,
gets you a lot of exposure.
Yeah, they're gonna walk away and they're gonna remember this moment.
Also, you're not an act that people forget. Let me make this very clear, you guys.
Well, I yell at them too if they don't do what I want them to.
Yeah. No, Grace, like, knows how to hold a crowd.
Thanks.
And you have the most, like, powerhouse voice. You're this, like, teeny tiny little beautiful girl, and you just step on stage and you're like, hey, I'm Grace Tyler. And then, boom, this voice comes out of nowhere. You're not somebody that people can ignore. Like, there's some opening acts where you couldn't, like, ignore. You just, like, get your drinks, you're hanging out with your friends, whatever. Not this girl. Let me make that very clear. Like, when she sings, She sings. And you guys, if you haven't seen Grace Tyler, you need to.
Yeah, come see me.
Yeah. Because no, you can fucking sing. And it's not like you're someone that like sits in the back and like plays like in the background music.
Yeah.
Like your voice is so captivating. You're such a powerhouse singer.
Thank
and
you.
You have this like beautiful, deep, rich voice, but then you could also hit these like super high notes and like all these belts. And your songs are so interactive. Like,
thanks.
I can't say enough good things about you because I love you.
I love you.
But no, seriously, like, if you're watching right now and you don't know who Grace Tyler is, do yourself a favor.
Duh, be my friend. Gosh.
Bestie girls, come hang with us.
I know, we're so fun.
If you want to move to Nashville, text us.
Yeah.
We're always looking for new friends.
We have wine nights every Monday night, so come join our wine group. You have to bring your own bottle over because there's too many of us now.
Yeah, we're at like a bottle a person right now.
We are.
And Grace is always my drinking buddy, which is so fun.
I am. Everybody else is like sober, dry January. I was like, I've never
She comes with a bottle of wine. She's like, you want wine? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, every time. It's Bachelor Mondays.
Exactly.
We have a bottle of wine.
I know.
I sound like an alcoholic. I swear I'm not. It's just wine. It's just our one night of the week that we go a little crazy.
But then I do the weekend.
Well, yeah, that's true. Weekends too. All right, well maybe.
It's part of the industry. It's fine.
It's fine. Wine's good for your heart.
It's
Wine
fine
doesn't
until
count.
it's not, and when it's not, we'll talk to each other about it. I want to ask you 2 questions. I ask this to everybody. My first question to you, this is going to be like an answer for the audience. What is the biggest lesson that you've had to learn the hard way?
Your village, so your community of people, is who you will be as a person. And I think that's in regards to every aspect of life, who you work with, your friends, your, closest people you surround yourself with, and having a village of people who are going to uplift you and bring you up is honestly one of the most important things in life. And it's okay if somebody in your life is good for you at a certain time and they aren't good for you anymore, and it's okay to walk away from that. And usually I feel like a lot of people see that in, relationships and boyfriend, girlfriend, but I think friendships as well. If somebody, or even work-wise as well. And I feel like I get to say that because, I'm a musician, so like who I work with is all based on who I want to be working with. So I have control, and I know a lot of people don't have that control. But I think surrounding yourself and the group of people that you surround yourself with are a huge indicator of who you're going to be and, how people are going to see you and the person you're going to become. So yeah, I would say like my biggest thing I've learned the hard way is surround yourself with people you want to be more like.
Do you believe, this is not part of the
Okay.
second question,
Okay,
like
this
this isn't part of the questions, but do you believe that the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most are a reflection of you?
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I feel like my closest friends and closest like people I work with are so diverse, and I love that. I think if you surround yourself with 5 carbon copies of you, you're not growing yourself as a person at all. Like I love surrounding myself with like, back to, oh my gosh, I'm such an Enneagram girly, but like you're a different Enneagram than me, right? Like I feel like you've never met a stranger. You are confident enough to walk up to somebody and just start a conversation. But for me, that is not my strong suit. But that's why I love surrounding myself with somebody like you who pushes me more to do things like that.
Yeah.
We're like,
or if you're going to a networking event and you need someone to make introductions, I got you, because I have no problem walking up to somebody and just starting a conversation.
That's terrifying to me. For some reason, like my mindset always goes to nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say.
Which is
like,
not true.
Which is not true. I don't know why I tell myself that. I'm like, you literally write songs. Like you're literally writing songs for a living. So people obviously care what you have to say. Like, calm down, Grace. But it's that own insecurity inside of me. And so I think that's such a huge thing I've just learned in my life. And it's okay, like, if that changes. I've had people in my life that I thought were like going to be there forever. And that changed. And that doesn't mean I have any malice or hard feelings towards that person. It just means, okay, that person wasn't good for me anymore.
Yeah.
And you need to find a group of people that support you. So it took me a while. It really took me till my 20s really to find like that solid core group of girls.
Yeah.
I think that was always one of my like biggest insecurities, was I always felt like I never had stable friendships. But I felt like in my 20s I finally found that, and it's just been like such a huge blessing. Just bragging about her. It's fine. It's whatever.
No, we have a really good core group of girls.
Yeah, we do.
And all of y'all inspire me in so many different ways. And
Well, we're also different too.
we
That's
are.
the best thing.
But it's
literally all so crazy.
The
different.
nights that we get together every week, we've been doing this now for over a year. I look forward to that night every week because I'm like, oh my God, I get to be with my girls.
Right.
And like, we're all doing different things. I feel like, should I name drop? I'm going to name drop. I feel like Hanley and I don't think she'll mind.
No, she's fine.
But I feel like Hanley and I, like, we're both in that, like, different, but, like, broadcasting, like, hosting realm.
Yeah.
Like, she's in, like, broadcasting and radio. I'm in podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Similar. And, like, same with you and Allison. Allison is in publishing, and you're an artist and a songwriter. So,
Right.
like, y'all have that in common. But, like, I feel like every time we all get together, I feel so inspired because all of us are working so hard, and like it's so nice to have like a reminder and like that group of women that push me. I look up to all of you.
No, I look up to you.
I love you guys. But I look up
We're just like talking about our friends.
I
It's
know.
great.
No, but like I look up to all of you so much in different ways. It makes me want to be better. What is your biggest piece of advice to anybody who is potentially new to Nashville or finally deciding to pursue their dream and like get into the industry?
Meet people, do whatever you can, like email people, go out. Like, I think the coolest thing about the Nashville scene is people are a lot nicer than you think they would be and are willing to talk, but you have to be confident enough to make that first move. And again, like I think we were talking about this earlier, that's hard for me. I am not that extroverted, I'm gonna go walk up to a stranger type thing. But here, people are so kind and so willing to, and the worst thing somebody can say is no. And you know what? Move on. Move on with your life. Move on from it. And if that no is what drives you to be like, okay, I got to prove that person wrong, use that as fuel, or just forget about it. Move on with your life. Whatever you need to do to cope with that. But a no isn't going to be the end of the world. And I think so many times we put pressure on opportunities. When an opportunity doesn't work out, we think we're never going to get something great again.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a cliche. It's like a closed door will look for an open window.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Like, you can say that as much as you want, and you can believe it as much as you want, but just you never know where something is going to, like, you know, an opportunity is going to come from. A job is going to come from. So, like, just be kind and go out and meet people. And, yeah, I would say that's like my biggest advice if you're wanting to be in the music industry or moving to Nashville. DM somebody. If you love somebody, DM them. If you go to Belmont, I think the best advice I got at Belmont was you have a Belmont like email address, right?
Yes.
Use that to your advantage because you can blame anything on a school project.
Also,
even if it's not.
everybody wants to help students.
Yeah, it's so
This
true.
was, really big piece of advice for anybody who is still in college. There's something that is ingrained in our minds to like pass on our knowledge to the younger generations. I guarantee you, if you're a student, send out an email and put in the subject line, Belmont student.
Or whatever,
and then
yeah,
email
wherever you
them or DM them and say, hey, I'm a student. I'm trying to get some insight for, you know, my future or whatever. Can I talk to you, take you to coffee? Even better, can I bring you a coffee to your office?
Perfect.
I've never had a no from that.
Yeah. And, you know, use that to your advantage. If they say, oh, well, what are you doing this for? Just say it's a school project. They don't need to know. Ask your professor for extra credit. Like, hey, I got this. I need to do a paper on it. Can I just get some extra credit for doing this? Like, you know, and again, the worst thing somebody can say is no, like in any situation.
And even then, here's the thing. Of all the people I've met, like, you know, I've told the stories of like Dave Portnoy. I met another guy this weekend. Like, the people that I meet, nobody has actually said no to my face.
Yeah, it's true.
The
People are
worst
nice
that
in
has
person.
the worst that has happened to me is I send them an email and they don't answer.
Right. Oh, well.
It's
move on.
not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really not. It sucks. So you're like, oh, that could have been cool, but it's like, all right, not meant to be. Moving on. What's
Exactly.
next?
And also, you never know, like, in the future, like, where a connection could lead. Like, maybe you met them then and, like, they didn't answer your email, but, like, maybe give it 2-3 years, you run into each other again, and, like, all of a sudden they see all the work that you've, like, you never know. So Number one, don't burn that bridge.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think my favorite story of like something like that was I was in a music video in college. I was an extra, and it overlapped with like a class time I had. So I told my professor, I was like, and I made it seem a lot bigger, not just like I was drinking a beer in the background of a music video, but all to say, I was like, hey, I got this opportunity to be on set of a music video, like with this so-and-so artist, but it conflicts with the time of your class. Is there any way I could get notes from somebody else in the class? Because his was like, your grade was part, like, you know, your attendance in class or whatever. And I was like, I don't really want my grade to be affected because it's something industry related. And he was like so proud of me for getting that. Not only did I not get anything like taken off, he gave me extra credit for going. I got extra credit for drinking a beer in the back of a video. I was like, this feels a little wrong. But he was like, I'm proud of you for like reaching out and like getting yourself that opportunity. He's like, I'm never going to punish somebody for working on their career and making connections. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, that's something that's going to stick with me forever because I appreciated that professor so much and I learned so much more from him than just what his class taught. So yeah, that's my fun story.
well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Grace Tyler, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This is your moment. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can stream the song, when's it coming out, all the tea.
Yes. All right. Well, my name is Grace Tyler. You can find me at Grace Tyler pretty much anywhere. Just look up Grace Tyler. They're all different. I think like one's like Grace Tyler Music or Grace.Tyler. Mine's the one with the blue check mark, so just look for that.
That's a flex.
I didn't pay for it either, so just saying, I didn't pay for it. My next single, Hold Your Horses, comes out this Friday, January 19th. Go stream it everywhere. I'm so excited to share kind of this new chapter of music with y'all. So if you haven't listened to anything, go check out the rest of my music. I've got a bunch of songs out, and Hold Your Horses is coming everywhere on Friday. So check that out.
Yes. Okay, and as always, you can find me at Hosted by Riley Nelson on Instagram and TikTok. You can find the podcast on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at This Hits Different Podcast. And as always, please rate, review, subscribe, share, give 5 stars, all the things, because we really need it. It really helps me out. And tag one friend in this. Tell one friend about this show.
Or tag one person you hate. We don't know.
Honestly, yeah.
So we don't know if you hate them or love them.
That's a better way of saying it. I love it.
Either or.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And Grace Tyler, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. Yeet. I say yeet every time. It's so bad.